Nice, we did it. Whew. What's up, you cool cats and kittens? Been sitting in this chair. Don't like sitting in chairs. For about 45 minutes, Googling different ways. Googling, actually, not true. Chat GPTing different mic setups and shit like that. I'm going straight GoPro today, this week. Man, I don't, maybe I'll just go, anyway. Just bought a bunch of adapters and shit. It's all new to me, all of this entire journey and process, and the technical aspects of it is the greatest impediment to my consistency. Hooking up the wires and inserting the SD cards and uploading shit. It's like that's stuff that an established, more legitimate podcast producer does. And so you can just, it's a plug and play operation. The creator sits down, does his thing, talks, and then it's all uploaded and handled. So I'm learning all this on the go, especially now including video and like how to sync video to audio. I wanted to take this the GoPro that I'm working with now, the last few episodes, and connect it right to this mic right here, this Zoom mic. I've connected the GoPro to the laptop through the Zoom mic, and taking the laptop, connected the mic to it, and connected the GoPro to it and recorded that way. But then you have this laptop as the middleman, and it decreases the quality from what I'm learning. So I want to just take this mic and connect it straight to the GoPro so I can have better audio with the GoPro quality video, but apparently that requires multiple adapters. And then, so I just did all that shit. But then, honestly, I like this GoPro has like, I guess a slightly improved mic on it, and it has a light setup that I don't like using just because it's so fucking bright. But I like just grabbing this fucking GoPro and just going like that, just straight to the GoPro. No mic, no headphones, no nothing. So we'll see, man. It's like in a lot of ways, I'm imitating just what I see in other podcasts, right? Like you see these in like the new podcast era, especially you see like clips cut on social media and shit. It's like you got your mic, you got your headphones. We're recording a podcast. It's like almost like I could just put this here, it's not even connected, and throw on these headphones, right? And it looks more official, like we're doing a podcast. But really, I don't know. It's not necessarily in line with my minimalist way of being. But the audio quality is significantly different. Man, I have people reach out, tell me like, oh, I was listening to early episodes of the podcast, and the listening to like, dude, some of them are like 4 hours, and the audio's terrible. So at the end of the day, it is the content that matters most. But yeah, I do want to do my best here, but also I want to keep it consistent. I want to make sure, like, not getting frustrated with having to order new fucking adapters and Googling how to connect this to that, ChatGPT, how to connect this to that isn't an obstacle in my consistency. It isn't like preventative, and so that's just me. I just got to push through and deal with, there's lots of aspects of projects that you want to pursue or goals that you want to achieve that the minutia of it and the details and granular nature of it can, it's not always awesome. Like I want to pursue, I have jiu-jitsu goals. I want to win jiu-jitsu goals medals, but some of those things, but that also requires me to like do a lot of fucking laundry and like keep my fingernails trimmed. All these little ancillary things that are part of it. So anyway, speaking of which, I think the last time we talked was right before UFC Seattle, I believe, which was like the last week, of February. And I was preparing for a jiu-jitsu tournament that weekend as well. I believe those are the same weekends. Jiu-jitsu tournament went well, man. I won both gi and no gi. The second tournament in a row that I've won both gi and no gi. So that's cool. It's very validating of all the way I've arranged my entire life. I spend more time probably each week doing jiu-jitsu than I do, and martial arts, kickboxing as well. Certainly adding yoga. I spend more time pursuing physical fitness goals than I do I spend more time on physical fitness than I do working a job during the week, right? And so if all that doesn't result in first place, in the highest level of achievement, then it's like, it would be super disappointing because it's like, fuck, man, I could be pursuing like a fucking actual job, making more money, pursuing career goals. But that's just not what lights my fire currently, man. I make enough money to where I feel that I'm good. Although, you know, you always want to make more money. And I do feel a shift coming where it's like, man, I need to be investing more. And so the more than likely result in a decrease in training and an increase in working. But I don't know, man. It's also, you get one life, man. And, you know, I'm 37. You could, by any traditional metric, you're a third of the way through your life. And the third that is the most physically capable. I'm very optimistic about like medical science and shit, and especially my performance at age 37, the things I'm able to do at age 37, the things I'm able to see other people do at 37. Like, I'm confident that I can live beyond 100. Dude, I don't want to live to fucking 200. I would like to live whatever the oldest person ever is right now, or in the recorded history, like, let's say it's 132. I don't know. I think maybe it's like, I think allegedly it's like some French lady. This one's gonna be a time when, if I had a producer, I would say, you know, what is the oldest person in the world? I would, let's just call it 120. Let's say the oldest person ever is 120. As of today, 2025. I would like to live more than that. That would be the goal. Be the oldest person in the world. I guess then that's the goal. Be the oldest person in the world. It's a high goal, right? Anyway, my point is, I think people are gonna live a lot longer, or are going to be capable of living a lot longer. But even still, right, it's like, what are we doing here, man? Like, what are we doing here on planet Earth? We're just going to spend the time working? Like, there's a limited amount of time. Or we're going to spend the time doing things that you're passionate about. But it's a balance, man, because going forward, I have other goals too. Having a family, and having a family requires working. Probably. Although maybe not. Anyway, I'm looking to do both, right? I'm looking to have my next step professionally. I would like, well, I say, maybe not necessarily my next step. What I would, a future step professionally, right? Kind of where we're headed is like, I'm starting to really wrap my head around the idea of having a life partner, having a monogamous female life partner. Dude, if it was non-monogamous, if we could have the possibility of having other sexual partners, and I would definitely be open to that discussion as well. But I do see the value in, you know, committed life partnership, probably singularly, like a polyamorous, multiple committed life partners. I don't know if a bandwidth for that, but I don't know, maybe under the right cultish circumstances, if like the kind of community was aligned in that direction. Actually might make it harder, right? Because then a lot of people would be doing the same thing. Whereas if you had a polyamorous existence in a predominantly monogamous society, that'd probably actually be easier emotionally, because there'd be less competition. Whereas if you live in a polyamorous society and you're polyamorous, dude, that'd be kind of chaos, right? Feels like it'd be a lot of emotional turmoil. I don't fucking know. Anyway, what the fuck am I talking about? I thought I was talking about jujitsu. Polyamorous. Life partnership. My next step professionally, I want to meet a nice lady, start a family, and I want to, at least for the first, during the toddler years of our children's lives, the first 5 years of our children's lives, have my profession be running a preschool, right? So take what I've been doing the last 5 years as a nanny and just, you know, scale it a little bit to multiple little kids, so I can raise my own child in my house, be a part of their upbringing, which is what I'm passionate about, as well as generate income off of that. Sounds fucking badass. And then potentially from there, open a school. Like, if that goes well and everything's cool, maybe then turn that into a kindergarten, and then at a first grade, and potentially make a school going forward. That's the dream, you know? So anyway, yeah. All right, the technological adventures continued. The GoPro just died. So I'm straight to my cell phone. So I'm gonna splice this, or take this video and connect it to the GoPro video. And then we'll see a difference in both the video and audio quality from GoPro to cell phone, which we've seen in the past. I've recorded the cell phone before, but it'll be nice to see. Is it worth doing the GoPro? Anyway, I was rambling about next steps in life. Oh yeah, I was saying I won the jiu-jitsu tournament, and it's validating because I didn't even work that much. You know, most 37-year-old men are out there fucking working full-time jobs, whatever. And so this is what I spend most of my time doing. So it's good to know that like the work is paying off and it's about pursuit. And more than anything, dude, it makes me happy. This is the happiest I've ever been in the last 2 years since I've been doing martial arts. And like I live a very humble existence, you know, so the happiness isn't coming from like financial achievement or material gain. You know, it's coming from pursuit of something you're passionate about, something, and the consistent growth and like maturation. I don't want to say maturation. I'm still not a very mature human in a lot of ways, but seeing yourself growing consistently in a way that you find meaningful is like very powerful. So that was very good thing to happen. It was different, man, that tournament than the last couple. Because gi and no gi were on separate days, and I'm not used to. Well, first off, my training was all designed around like having one long day as the tournament, right? Because most tournaments I've done in the past, it's gi and no gi on the same day, so it's a long day. So my thinking is make every training day even longer and harder than the tournament day is going to be, right? So I chose to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then one day on the weekends. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, very hard. Hour of yoga, hour of no gi, hour of kickboxing, hour of gi. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then weekends, hour of yoga, and then about maybe just like one long, open mat class, right? An open mat is an hour of pure rolling, right? So harder than a typical jiu-jitsu class. But during that time, like I would arrange it where very rarely was I training on consecutive days, because I would train hard one day, and the theory was give my next day the time to recover, train hard the next day. So I'm simulating being prepared and rested and having one long hard day. All of a sudden, I learned in the week leading up to the this past tournament, the IBJJF Los Angeles Open, that gi and no gi on separate days. So I'm gonna have to compete on consecutive days, which I've never done in training before. So that was just kind of like last minute curveball. Not to mention the second day, no-gi, the weight limit was 215 pounds, 7 pounds less than the 222 pound weight limit of gi. And I walk around like 215. So like that's like before I've eaten, after I've pooped, maybe done some yoga, like middle of the day, like maybe like noon, without eating, hydrated, clear stomach, I'll weigh about 215. That's like usually about the weight I'm training at is 215 because I haven't eaten, I'm hydrated. But now you're talking about you have to throw in the pants or you have to throw in the gi. Ideally, you're particularly hydrated and caffeinated, which is liquid weight. And this was at 5 p.m. So typically I don't train with food in my stomach, but I train early. I train in the first thing in the morning. I train between like 9 and 1. And then I eat after. I usually eat till 2. Now the second tournament, the no-gi tournament was at 5 p.m. and I had to cut the weight. So that was a whole little adventure. I didn't know how I was gonna cut the weight. I have these sauna blankets. I bought 2 of them. One's like a sleeping bag that gets up to 176 degrees. And then the other one was a sleeping bag as well, but I like opened it up. So I'll get in one sleeping bag and then unzip the other sleeping bag that get up to 176 degrees Fahrenheit. And I put the other one on top of the sleeping bag. Dude, and I had no idea how much actual pounds you cut. I do that and I sweat a lot, and I do typical steam sauna as well, or a rock sauna as well. But I had no idea. I sweat like a motherfucker, but I'm always sweating and peeing. I had no idea the actual poundage I cut. So on Saturday, I weighed in for gi I was basically like 216. With the gi, I was like 219. I weighed in for a 222 pound limit. And on Sunday, I woke up at 217, did yoga, caffeinated, hydrated, was at 218. You have to weigh in at 215 on the nose, not a pound over. So I hop in the sauna bags for 35 minutes, thinking I'd get a pound or two off. I cut 7 pounds in 35 minutes. So I was way underweight and super dehydrated. So I actually drank a little water before going to the venue and weighing in. And then one nogi by rear naked choke, or some rear naked something, dude. I don't know what the fuck. Like, I've locked in this choke. I've won the last 3 tournaments by rear naked choke variation of some kind, like neck crank. I don't have the choke totally locked in. The dude told me, I talked to the dude afterward, and he said it was just felt like more like a neck crank, and like I had a body triangle locked in, was cranking his spine. So yeah, cool. That's cool. Another tournament coming up. I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of like lost the fire a little bit for competition, a little bit now, because I've won. It's like I've proven to myself what I want to prove to myself, that like I know for my age group blue belts that I'm, with the people I train with, that I'm among the best, right? And I think I'm the best. And I think I could potentially be the best 37-year-old blue belt in the world. I really do. And so I just want to figure that out. And the only way to figure that out is A, being successful against the people you're training with. But that only gives you a small sample size of where you stand. So then going to these competitions, which in Los Angeles are drastically increasing the sample size, right? Because you got people coming from all over. Like I saw license plates from all over the country at this particular tournament, not to mention people fly in from internationally. And I'm winning those. And so now I'm like, okay, I think maybe I'll just focus on world championships going forward. So there's like an international, IBJJF International Championship in Long Beach on May 28th, 29th, I believe. Then there's IBJJF, what I believe is like the official world championships in Vegas in August. And then, but there's also IBJJF, I don't know like what's considered official, but there's 3, what's up, Georgita? There's 3, can you shut that, Georgie? There's 3 world championships that I know. I'm doing a podcast like I did last time we did a video. But I had my camera died. So I'm just doing it on my phone. Well, no, I mean, it's just batteries then. You need a glove? You feel what up? Cool. I will finish this in 2 seconds. There's 3 IBJJF World/International Championships that I'm aware of on the calendar. And I believe it's May, August, and December. So I'm going to focus on those. Going forward, I'm going to focus on competing in all the world championships. Is that Dada calling you, Georgie? Is that Dada calling you?
I need him to try it.
Love you, Bubba. Boy. So yeah, I'm gonna focus on those. So jiu-jitsu's going good, martial arts going good. I know I've been teasing like some major life news. I'm gonna hold off on that still, but because, dude, there's major life news going on in my life, in JoJo's life, in all of our family's lives here, and and it's all good. There's nothing. Change is I don't know, man. I always struggle with change, even though it's not necessarily bad. It's just like saying goodbye to the past potentially. Whew. But also, there's also other life things going on as well that don't have to do with our family here, in my life, and they're happening at the same time, and they're not necessarily in line with one another. None of them is bad, but just different, kind of 2 different good paths. So I thought I was ready to discuss one path, but other paths are developing as well. And so I would just doing my best to live in the moment day by day, and see what happens. Just wake up and be my best self every day. Be honest and transparent and friendly and loving, and try my hardest every day, and then see how the future unfolds with that daily approach to being present and mindful. That's a super, almost like bureaucratically hippy dippy way of not trying to get into specifics, but hopefully it paints some kind of picture. UFC, man, I'm way behind on UFC still. Like, fuck it, man. Fuck, I'm just gonna sit in front of fuck MMA podcast, fuck podcast about history or cosmology. It's just me, dude. It's just whatever the fuck is on my mind. All right, that's what's gonna be every week. The focus now is just getting in front of this fucking mic, camera, whatever, once a week and getting that consistency, and then it'll develop as it develops. Just like I said with life in general, show up and do your best every day. But I've been watching UFC, of course, but also, dude, I got distracted by this fucking Four Nations hockey tournament. Of course, I learned about it like a month after it happens. Dude, hockey is a badass motherfucking sport. So, watched that. Canada won. There's 4 countries: USA, Canada, Finland, Sweden. Could be in this like round robin hockey tournament. It was fucking super intense. They're very into it. I don't know much about hockey, but it's a beautiful, very cool sport, man. So that slowed me down a little bit. Got into, I don't know, man, I just love sports. I know it's a distraction from like bigger things in life and more important things in life, and it's very childish, but also it's like you also need to follow things you're passionate about. So it's every time I try to get away from sports and spending my time researching politics and cosmology and all this shit, I just get drawn back into like, it's fun, man. It's fun. And I find it inspiring. And like, I'm a competing athlete now. It's not just like I'm a fucking life insurance and salesman and I'm sitting in front of a desk and I'm listening to sports radio. It's like I do athletics all day, so I find it inspiring and cool. And it's like, I think the sport that I do, honestly, is the coolest of all of them. But I also very much enjoy watching other, sports. So the hockey tournament is badass. UFC Seattle was cool. The eye poke of Henry Cejudo was kind of stole the show, although the card itself was banging. Prior to that, the next event that I'm watching is Manel Kopp versus Su Amabayev, something like that, from Kazakhstan. It's a UFC Apex show that happened 2 weeks ago, and then what happened last week was UFC 213. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm about 2 weeks behind in a fucking UFC. Actually, I'm 3 because I gotta watch Kopp Amabayev UFC Apex. I gotta watch 213 Pereira and Kalaev. I gotta watch what happened last night was it another Apex show? I think it was another Apex show, Vittori Delidze. Marvin Vittori, Rome Delidze. I believe that was another Apex show. So I'm 3 behind. But I'll do that tonight. I'll crank out some stuff tonight. But the good news is, another huge reason why I'm falling even farther behind on this shit is because there are positive developments in my personal life. So I'm hanging out with people. I'm hanging out with chicks, dude. All right? Get off my dick. Sorry, that was a little crass. But yeah, man, I'm developing a personal life, so I'm not just every night smoking weed and watching fights. I'm having social interactions at night now, which is good. But I'm not watching so much fucking MMA. So, generally things, like MMA wise, Dan Hooker was supposed to fight Justin Gaethje at 313. He fell out, was placed by Rafael Faziev. But that went down last weekend. I'll talk about it once I catch up to it. UFC 314 and 315 were announced, bangers of a card. I've discussed how Saudi Arabia is getting into boxing and kind of taking over the boxing game. We had Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev fight, with Bivol prevailing in what was the rematch. So they'll almost certainly do a trilogy. The card itself in Saudi Arabia was supposed to be like this epic card, but it fell apart. A lot of fighters fell off. The card, so it didn't turn to be as bad as it is, but Saudi Arabia continues to dominate boxing. And now, since I've last spoken on the podcast, it's like becoming more official that TKO, which is the parent group of UFC and WWE and professional bull riding, is going to get into boxing in conjunction with Saudi Arabia. Turki al-Sheikh, the head of the Saudi Arabian Sports Commission, is he's going for it, brother. And they've basically got unlimited money. And so it looks like the UFC essentially and Saudi Arabia are going to get together to create a boxing league akin to that of UFC. But that is going to require almost certainly the repeal of federal legislation called the Ali Act. But because Dana White is boys with Trump, it should get pushed through. And how much, I don't want to say bluster, but how much talk there has been recently of creating a boxing league that otherwise in the past would have been is kind of prevented from federal regulation, is prevented by federal regulation. They're talking this much about it, they must be fairly confident that they're going to get the Ali Act repealed. The UFC operates a league of fighters, like the NFL operates a league of sports teams, or the NBA operates a league of sports teams. In boxing, because the federal government stepped in, like the federal government does, like government does in any way, that their well-intentioned policies to try to help people ultimately have a more detrimental effect down the road. You just need to let things play out naturally, in my libertarian opinion. It just takes time, just not overreact to problems. Take a step back, take a breath, and allow individuals to handle the problems, allow the market to handle the problems, rather than this ham-fisted government intervention with, that isn't like particularly innovative or responsive and all. Anyway, so the reason this hasn't happened in the past, a boxing league where a rich guy gets together and says, "Oh, I'm going to pay all the best boxers and they're only can fight with me," is because there's been federal legislation. I don't know the specific details of the Ali Act, but basically and make sure that only one dude, one promoter, one organization can't control all the fighters. But if you repeal, I guess it prevents essentially a monopoly, but that happens, Anyway, it's not a monopoly. It's not like the government is saying that only these guys can have all the fighters. Like anyone is free to start a league, just like in MMA. It's not like there's anything preventing me or anyone else, Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, from starting a competitor to the UFC. It's just taking the financial risk like in any business. And there are other competitors we've discussed in this. One Championship, Professional Fighters League, the alleged GFL, which dude, I don't know what the fuck is going on with the GFL. But anyway, dude, if the UFC and Saudi Arabia team up and get into boxing and the Ali Act gets repealed, that's going to be boxing. Boxing as we know it will be transformed into Zuffa boxing, or whatever they call this new boxing. So that is that. I'll catch up on those sports. I'll continue living life. I'll continue I'll upload this fucking video. Hopefully continue to improve the technical aspects of this, or not. Key is consistency and being truthful and honest, and not having fear about being transparent and candid and rambling. Not caring what other people think, essentially. Try to be your best self, though, but just being confident in your best self because you believe it, not because it's what other people think or not. Anyway, I want to be honest and transparent and candid on this, and do it consistently. I love you all. Talk to you soon. Buzz.